Is doing a lot of cardio bad for testosterone levels?
Well, for starters, we have to differentiate. Is this a gentleman who is already on testosterone replacement therapy, or is this someone who's a natural producing male? If you're already on testosterone therapy, this is a moot point because obviously you're going to receive your medication exogenously, while your activity levels will determine the rate of metabolism and excretion and utilization of hormones, which can always be adjusted by dosing and frequencies, which is, again, part of why the ongoing management with a medical professional is very essential. But if you are a naturally producing male, then every single thing that you do in your life is going to have an impact on your endocrine system / hormone production, utilization, and excretion. And this includes testosterone. Now, when I say have an impact, this does not necessarily mean a negative one. It just means it's going to modify. Every variable you throw into life is going to modify. So if you lay in bed, go to sleep, wake up, stay in bed, eat, drink, sleep again, you're going to have, X hormone graph. If you're going to get out of bed and go to work and have some stress throughout the day and take a train and a bus and sit in traffic and come home and do homework with your kids and go to bed, you're going to have a Y graph. And if you're going to get up and go to the gym and run and, ride your bike and then come home, you're going to have a Z graph. So every variable is going to change or have an impact on your hormones. Now, whether it's good or bad, I personally have looked and I haven't seen any studies that specifically point to cardiovascular exercise lowering testosterone levels. Now, I will say this with a caveat. Anything you do excessively, and anytime you put excessive stress on the body, we know that your adrenals are going to be taxed by it. And we also know that that may have a negative correlation, perhaps, on sex hormones like testosterone. With that said, would I tell people do not do cardiovascular exercise in order to upregulate your testosterone levels? Absolutely not, because the health benefits of having good circulatory system, good oxygenation via the lungs, and a good working, healthy heart far outweigh the potential correlation, not necessarily evidenced, but correlation of maybe dropping a couple of points in your testosterone at the end of the day. So if you're truly concerned about your hormone levels, get them tested properly and get some proper intervention. But if you think that avoiding cardiovascular exercise is an excuse because your testosterone levels are negatively impacted, no. And again, we're not talking about people that run marathons here. We're not talking about, guys that wake up and do 10, 15-mile runs every morning. We're talking about your general 20 to 30 minutes a day of a low intensity, steady type of an exercise. Go walk your dog, go for a light jog, go ride a bike. Typical heart healthy type of exercise for cardiovascular health. You're not going to negatively impact. And if anything, we can argue that, again, associated studies, not necessarily direct, but associated studies show that when you are healthier overall and you have a lower body mass index, your endocrine system tends to function better. So I would certainly not tell people do not perform cardiovascular exercise regularly for the sake of saving a point or 2 or 3 or 50 on maybe your natural testosterone production.
Yeah, agree. But I know several men in their 40s and 50s that are always training for triathlons. They're always swimming multiple times a week, running multiple marathons a week, always riding their bikes. They're in their 40s or 50s, and then they have these typical low testosterone symptoms. We can agree if they aren't on TRT yet, that can be a cause of low testosterone, isn't it?
Sure. You have to understand competitive sports are not healthy by any means. They're not healthy for any part of your body. They're not good for your bones. They're not good for your mind, essentially. Some people are competitive and they say, oh, this keeps me sane. They're not. They're very stressful. It's a very listen, I've competed in sports, okay? I've competed in basketball in my youth, and I've competed in bodybuilding a little bit later on in life. There's no distinction, unfortunately, with the younger generation between health and sport, and there should be. There is sport as a hobby, sport to enjoy, sport to relieve stress, sports to get out that competitive nature that you may possess. Then there are, like you said, triathlons and triathlons and some triathlons back. Okay, training for them is unhealthy. Competing in them is unhealthy. There's a different state of your body. And they'll always, the marathon runners will always tell you, well, look at my 300-pound obese friend over here with heart disease and look at my vitals. Look, you're doing orthopedic damage and you're doing endocrine damage at the end of the day. But you do so because this is what you choose to do. There is excessiveness in everything. Okay, we know that testosterone is good for us. We also know that running massive doses of testosterone is going to be detrimental to our health in the long term. So there is underdoing and overdoing on everything. You find the happy medium. And this is what I said earlier on. I'm specifically not referring to marathon slash triathlon slash excessive. I've done 100-mile bike tours, and I've trained for them at 40, 50 miles a day, for weeks and months at a time. And while some aspects have improved, other aspects have suffered for it. So as long as it's in moderation and it's consistent, it's fine. You don't need to be a competitive triathlete in order to benefit from cardiovascular. And then obviously that's going to have impacts on other parts of your life.
Okay, Gil, thank you so much.
Thank you, Steve. It was a pleasure. I really, really appreciate you having me on a weekend.